Welcome to Cooking Along with Chef George Chen of China Live. This event is part of an AAPI Month virtual cooking series hosted by Asia Society. We're doing 3 programs all focused on rice. Today, Chef George Chen is going to teach us how to make fried rice. On May 18th, our New York headquarters team is doing an event with Chef Ming Tsai. And on May 27th, our Philippine Center is doing an event with Chef Kenneth Cachao. Be sure to check all 3 of them out. Now, during today's program, we're going to be giving away 3 prizes, including a wok and condiments box, dinner at China Live, and Southwest e-passes. So stay tuned until the very end. We have over 200 people signed up for this program. I'm Margaret Conley, the Executive Director of our Northern California Center. And while Chef Chen is cooking, please type any questions you have in the Q&A box. If you are cooking along, we want to hear from you. Give us updates. The recipe was shared with you in the confirmation email that you received with the Zoom link for this event. Now, we are recording, so you can watch this back on repeat at your leisure. Let's get started. Please welcome the founder and executive chef of China Live in San Francisco, Chef Chen.
Hello, everybody, friends and members of Asia Society, particularly the Northern California chapter. Thank you, Margaret, for the introduction, and Gary, who's the president this year. Happy to be involved with AAPI Month for celebrating our heritage, particularly talking about rice. Everybody says, I'm such a rice guy. And so we're going to do rice today and start off the month of many 3 rice sessions on rice. We do have some gifts we're going to give away today. Beautiful condiment set, 3 of our products. One, the Good Food Awards, which is sustainably produced. And the chili bean sauce, Chef Chen's chili crisp, and then duck tap popcorn, which is not here, but made from our Peking duck. So wonderful condiment set with a carbon steel wok, and you'll know how to use that after I show you. And then we have dinner for 4 at China Live. So stay, have fun, and Margaret will announce the winners at the end. So everybody loves rice, right? And so what is rice? I mean, everybody knows what rice is, but it's actually, harvested and cultivated in China over 10,000 years ago, the first place. And rice is actually the raceseed species, and it has a husk around it, as you know, and in between that, there's a bran layer. And the bran is what we use mostly for cooking here, bran oil. And so because it's got a lot more proteins and so forth. And so the rice that comes out of there has many different varietals. There's literally hundreds, if not thousands of rice around the world. And, rice from one place is different than other. Primarily rice, the way for you all to think about it is really short grain, medium grain, and long grain, right? And literally, it's the shape of the rice. I mean, short grain is fat and stubby, and long grain is longer. And there's 2 basic genus that come out of it, Japonica and Indica. Like you can think about basmati as Indica, and Japonica is more like Japanese sushi rice. Rice has amylose and amylgluten, which is the sticky part. So when you think about rice dishes you want to make, you want a creamy like risotto and dishes like that. You want short grain rice, you want the starch and the creaminess. If you want like rice that's separated, like Indian basmati, those are long grain rice, right? So it's very different. And there are many, many rices. I went to the market and show you, this is any gourmet market in the Bay Area. This is premium jasmine rice, right? This one's Thai. And jasmine rice is very interesting because, why do you call it jasmine? Because it has that jasmine floral scent. So when you buy jasmine rice, you don't want to buy a huge bag if you're not going to use it, because you'll lose this floral fragrance, right? So with jasmine rice, they have new rice every year. So you want to get the new rice from the Asian market particularly and use it fairly often because you'll smell it. If you let it sit around for a year, you'll lose that fragrance. So, and hence why it's not cooked with jasmine, but it has the flowness that's called jasmine rice. And this is a medium grain rice, and the one we use here at China Live. In the old days, before jasmine became popular, and most of this comes out of Vietnam and Thailand, Cecilia Chang's Mandarin restaurant, she used to always say, Texas long grain is the best. Long grain rice cooks a little bit differently. And you have long grain rice here. This is organic long grain rice. And long grain rice is the indica species, and it tends to cook lighter. It doesn't absorb as much water, and if you cook it right, it tends to be nice and fluffy. So long grain, medium grain. This is medium grain Japanese rice. Sushi rice is short grain because you want that stickiness. And Thai glutinous rice, and there's no gluten really in it, but sounds like it has gluten in it. Rice has no gluten, right? And so that really is more when you make like mango sticky rice, or you grind into rice powder. That's the rice you use. So it's a Thai short grain rice. Brown rice, it's just got husks and stuff in it, and it's not really belong to the two families. I'm talking about wild rice. Brown rice, it's just some of them have a little more of the husk. This is a cow roast brown rice. They're extra fancy. I mean, there's a lot of non-GMO. So there's a lot of rice varietals. Arborio, of course, you guys know, for making risotto, Italian, and Canarola. Okay, Canarola, the grain's a little bit smaller. And with these rice, you want that creaminess, right? Because the grains tend to absorb a lot of moisture. So, when you're putting the broth in slowly, it tends to get really nice and rich. And that's what you want, even if you're cooking al dente, right? So that's that. Paella rice is usually like tombao rice, short grain rice. That's, in the big paella pan. Here you got some special rice. This is basmati rice. India, you had basmati rice is almost granular, right? They don't stick together. And so rice, there's a lot of varieties, but we love jasmine rice. That's what we use here, and people love our rice. And the way to cook rice, really in many ways, Chinese prefer, because we eat rice almost every day. So we all have like a rice cooker. This is the very easy one. This is just a 3-cup rice, because unless you have a big family, you get a bigger one. But this is very good because the thing about cooking rice is pressure, and to be able to steam the rice but allow the moisture to escape so that the rice becomes fluffy, right? And it's cooked evenly. Because a lot of times, if you don't have a rice cooker, not everybody has a rice cooker at home, right? When you cook rice, you could cook it in a pot, but don't use like a lousy pot, because first, you're not going to be able to hold the steam in, and secondly, it'll burn on the bottom, and you won't get evenness, right? When you cook rice, you want that rounded heat. So if you have a Dutch oven, this is the stove, very heavy, right? And it doesn't stick. So you can put rice in there and cover it and let it cook away. When it starts to boil, cover it, and then try not to peek. This is a little bit of a touch, because when you peek, the steam escapes, and then you kind of get like that half-cooked rice thing. And then you probably have to put a little more water in. Same thing with this Chinese ceramic. This is a jaw steamer. We sell it here. And this is really also heavy, holds heat, and it has a heavy top, so you can steam away. And when you do rice, here's some jasmine rice, right? If you're doing rice, how much water do you put in? People are like, I don't know. I mean, it's a guesswork, right? Some people say put your palm in there, it covers your palm, or stick your finger in there, it's like a second knuckle. Well, it depends on the size of your pot. right? So my thing is, if it's 2 cups of rice, okay, there's one, okay, there's two. Put 2 cups of water in there to kind of just measure out what kind of rice you're using. If you're using jasmine, usually if you don't peak and you timed it properly, should be fine. If you're a little under, you can just taste it, lose some steam. You throw a little more water in there and cover it, let it steam away. It's a touch and feel thing, but once you figure it out, you'll be able to make rice, perfect rice all the time. All right. So moving on to fried rice. Everybody loves fried rice. Fried rice is great because when you make rice, you don't know how much you're going to eat, and you have leftover rice, like bread pudding, right? You have leftover bread, you make bread pudding or, French toast or whatever. So here is day-old rice. Day-old rice, why do we use day-old rice? It's not to change the frugal, we are. Let's save money on everything. But no, I'm teasing. But it's because some of the moisture has left the rice. So it's easier to cook when you're walking it back to life. What you want to do with fried rice is you're literally trying to bring the rice back to its fluffy, bouncy texture that you want in a fried rice. If your fried rice, proper Chinese fried rice, can't be mushy. It has to be light and fluffy because you get that umami, you get that wok hei flavor from the wok, right? And it's not difficult once you know how to cook fried rice. Very important, if you're at home, if you don't have a wok, this is my favorite wok. It's a 14-inch cast iron. Carbon steel wok. And it's been well seasoned. A good wok, you never have to wash it. Okay, it's like a good cast iron pan. It's like that movie, like, don't touch my cast iron pan. That chef guy. I think Emily in Paris or something. Anyways, a good cast iron, you see how it's well seasoned? It won't stick. Okay, it's not like a Teflon wok or anything like that, right? It's not a non-stick, but once you season it, the molecules in the cast iron wok seals it. And when I show you later, this is the best device because when you're flipping the rice, you're popping air back into those little grains of rice to get them going. So we're going to show you that day-old rice. So very easy. What's in fried rice? It could be 4 ingredients, or it could be 10 ingredients. It depends on how you fold the ingredients in. The essential things you must have is scallions, both the white and green parts, cut like so. Not too fine. Eggs. You gotta have eggs with rice. So this is 2 eggs for about that much rice here, right? And cooking oil, brand oil. Yang chow fried rice has a little bit of, in the old days, they didn't have lettuce, but they folded in some vegetables. Here in the U.S., we have a lot of iceberg lettuce. We have a lot of trimmings. It gives the rice a little bouncier texture and a little more lift. Peas and carrots, if you want. This is not in the downstairs recipe, but everybody has peas and carrots in your fridge. So whatever, if you like mushrooms, make sure you dice them because texture is really important in fried rice, right? So here you have peas and carrots, and then protein-wise, you can do vegetarian. You don't need necessary protein. But here, everybody has chicken breasts, right? Chicken breast, you just take chicken breast, okay, and you don't have to soak it or velvet it. You just slice the chicken breast and poach it in some hot water. This is just poaching water, right? And cooked like about too tender. Doug, can you hand me the roast pork? Or yeah. So we do a lot of roast pork here, or char siu, right? And we sell a lot of this, right? So I always can't eat the whole of it. Can, but you have some left over, you just chop it up into little dice. You can throw that in the fried rice. Or if you like seafood and you don't want meat, you can go to bay shrimp, or these not bay shrimp, but you can go to bay shrimp and toss it into the rice. In terms of seasoning, I don't put soy sauce in my fried rice. One, it wets down the rice. It doesn't allow it to pop as much. And so it's just salt, white pepper, and a pinch of sugar. just to balance flavors, right? So people say, oh, why the sugar? Because salt and sugar tend to balance flavors because you want flavors to balance. So that's kind of where we're at. I think I'm sorry? Oh, go. And we're going to go over there and cook some of this. And if you give me 1 second, I will join you on the other side.
Chef Chen, while you're doing that, I don't know if you can hear me, but we do have some questions coming in from the audience about brands.
Absolutely. Fire away.
You shared some of the rice brands just now. Do you have any additions to share? And also brands for cooking oil. This is a question from Christy Lee.
Yeah, cooking oil, I prefer brand or safflower, high temperature. People sometimes are allergic to peanut oil. So in the old days, Chinese always cooked with peanut oil. But now we here at the restaurant use mostly brand oil, which is again rice bran, right? And so it's high temperature and resistant, and it's very durable, and it's good for you. There's nothing wrong with that. With regards to rice, if you go to your Asian market, I think the Elephant brand is one of the better ones, and try different rice, because all rice are a little different. A lot of them have fancy marketing, but get a rice that you like and learn how to cook it. And you have steamed rice the first day, fried rice the next day. So again, I love to just experiment. I have like hundreds of condiments and rice woks. I mean, I've got like 100 different devices, but this is my favorite. So it's very important on a good wok. This is a smaller wok. These are a little bit bigger for commercial use. This is commercial wok, but the one you're getting is also carbon steel wok. And some of them are pre-seasoned. Some of them you need to season a little bit to get a high heat. Sometimes you see Chinese restaurants get all hot. Right? So here, it's important to get the wok hot before you put any oil in, right? And look, that's serious heat over there, right? That's 250,000, 300,000 BTU. So you get the wok hot before you put oil in, okay? Yeah, it heats up fast. At home, it's not going to heat up this fast, right? And when you stir in the eggs, this is about 2 eggs, okay? To control the heat from here. You don't want to cook it all the way, right? You just want it nice and fluffy like that. And then we're going to get slaughter spoon. Yeah. Set that aside. And then the remaining oil, we're going to cook the rice. There's a little bit more oil in the eggs because you want that to kind of lubricate the rice. Italians use a lot of olive oil, and nobody's scared of it. But, good oil, too hot. See that wok is smoking. And you really want to break the lumps, okay? Break the lumps, get them going a little bit. See, it's starting to toast already. And then you can toss in your ingredients, okay? And because these are already cooked, you don't really have to worry too much. The lettuce, okay? And then let's do chicken and see how that works. Break the lumps. Important to toss. You see the tossing, and you want to break it. And don't forget the seasoning. So we're going to season. All right. It's cooking is by feel. It's how much seasoning you want to adjust. You can always add. If you want a little more salt and pepper and sugar, you can always add later. But those condiments that we have are usually I like to toss a little bit of sesame oil in here at the end. Not sesame oil, but you know.
And Chef, talk about why you're flipping versus stirring.
Well, because you want to pop all the rice that hit the bottom of the wok where the heat is, to pop them back up to the top, and you get that nice fluffy bounciness. You see, this is almost done, right? And when talking a little bit over here, see how light that is? That's what you want, okay? And we have a good. I forgot to say something, but when you bring the rim put the oil on the edge of the wok so that it reacts to the wok, and then the flames will hit the wok, and it's like getting that a little bit more of that wok thing going on. So, oh my goodness, I knew there was something wrong. I forgot the eggs. Yikes! That should have reminded me. But anyway, hold the eggs in. Okay, and we can put the pork in too if you want. I don't want the shrimp. See, even I get nervous after doing all of these many years. You break up the eggs. And going to skip the pork, and we're going to place this. See, nothing's sticking to the bottom of that wok, right? I should have put the eggs in a little bit earlier, got distracted, but that happens when you're talking to a camera. See, nice and colorful and simple, and then we'll go back over here. And if you want, at this point, look, here's the finished one from earlier, right? You see, when it's fresh, it's got more lift, you smell it like, you can smell the rice getting toasted in the wok. If you're at home, make sure you have a kind of good pan. I really recommend getting you guys a wok, everybody getting a wok at home, because the most versatile device you can, the wok book by Kenzie is a really good one. It doesn't talk about all the techniques, but a wok is essential for Chinese cooking. You can poach in it, you could wok it, and you could use the baoshang, which is bring out the Chinese marrow poppers like ginger, garlic, scallions, and so forth. And you can do frying it, so and much higher temperature than a skillet. But if you have a big skillet and you're strong, you can toss. If you don't, you could use 2 hands. The scooper and the spatula, toss like this, right? And that's fine too. And then if you want, here, the house infused ginger and hopper and vinegar soy sauce, you can lace a little bit on there. Use a finishing soy sauce. Don't use if you use, I don't want to mention names, but if you use like cheap soy sauce, it's salty, right? And it's got mostly wheat in it. If you use a premium finishing soy sauce, go to like the market and find, like, people don't think that's my favorite condiment, soy sauce. So you could then lace a little bit on it, and you can really taste it because the grains will not have absorbed that soy sauce. So a lot of the old days, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, fried rice used to come out like brown, right? Because it's not as fluffy and light like this. It's because they put too much soy sauce in it, right? Put the soy sauce in there and use a good one. And then if you want, like my chili crisp, this is great. It's got a little texture because we make with shallots here at China Live. And you can lace that on there and, change the flavor as it goes. That's pretty much it. And oh, we have winners. The wok and condiments that goes to Mei Jiao Go. Congratulations. And Jennifer Orm, China Live for 4, dinner for 4. Jennifer Orm, congratulations to you for watching. And I hope you enjoy the segment. I forgot the age.
Chef Chen, it looks amazing. You're making us all hungry, and thank you very much for being so generous with the prizes there. We'll contact the winners. Do you have time for a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay, we have one from Andy Yang asking if you recommend using a colander to prepare fried rice. He says the BBC says yes, and Uncle Roger, as you may know online, the comedian, says no. What is your recommendation?
A colander for what? For sifting the rice?
For preparing fried rice. I don't know at what point you would use it.
If you're using a colander, it's just to get the moisture out of your vegetables or your proteins. You don't want wetness when you're cooking in the rice. The less gives a little bit of moisture, right? That's where you add it. So it's still like super light, right? Yeah. So like you don't want stickiness in fried rice. Fried rice is all about that shang wei, the Chinese call it shang, right? And so colander, I don't know what I would use the colander for. I never use a colander. Now you need a scooper. I luckily have one here. This is a Gila kitchen, and usually you want to take the eggs out when still not running but very soft. It has a little oil in it, which is great because you're going to bring that oil and those eggs back in. It's going to coat the rice and pop it up. So I'm not sure about the colander thing, but maybe I'll go and Google it and try it at home.
Great. Where should folks purchase a good carbon steel wok?
Online, of course. I probably have like 20 woks, and we bought some. And we season here, and when you season, it gets dark. And then people would say, "Oh, if you don't use a lot, the dark from the oil will go away, and it looks like it's like your pan is scratched." It's not. Okay, just put more. You got to leave it on pretty high heat because carbon steel can handle that heat. It's carbon steel, right? And you put that oil on there, and it starts to smoke a little bit, and it's on the vent, right? And season your wok properly, you'll never have to wash it. Good wok. Wok shop is my friend Tang down on Grant Avenue. She makes a wok in Hayward, American made, very good wok. There's some fancy people selling $200-300 woks. I don't think it's necessary. My wok is probably $40-50, and it lasts your lifetime. I have fancy everything. I'm a crazy chef person, but a good wok is essential to your kitchen, and especially a super critical because with the scooper, you hit the back of the rice to pop it like I was doing. Right, I was talking, so I wasn't like really flipping it because if I was really going, I would do it much faster, but then I would have to work a lot faster on the over the fire. And even at home, if you don't have a lot of heat, you can still do this.
I'll squeeze in a couple more questions. Andrew is saying he has a glass top electric stove. Is the wok going to get hot enough to cook dishes like this?
Well, if you're going to cook on an induction or electric stove, yes, you can, but you got to get a good wok that has a obvious conductive heat, because the heat, flat bottom will come up the sides, and you have to probably cook a little less portion-wise because it's all about how much heat and how much food you're cooking. I don't let my chefs cook like more than 2 orders at a time because things suffer. That's why when you go to big banquets and food tastes like it's sitting around, because they're cooking in huge batches. Chinese food has to be on the menu. It's boom, boom, it's right there. In fact, one of the things I do when I hire a chef, wok chef, I tell them make me a fried rice. They think I'm crazy. I said, why do you think I can't cook fried rice? I said, well, just make me a fried rice. And if they're like really lazy and they put it out and it's lumpy and it's not fluffy, I know maybe the guy's got skills, but he's got bad attitude. Fried rice is one of the hardest things to cook because you really gotta toss and break it and pop the flavor out. So, it's a simple dish, but a lot of integrity.
Last question, ginger, garlic, and Chinese hot mustard. When do you add them and do you use them?
Okay, so ginger and garlic, I didn't use it here, right? Ginger, garlic, scallions are the Chinese essential ingredients, like the French mirepoix, right? And so ginger and garlic and scallions, generally, it depends on the size of your cutting, because you don't, on that heat over the wok, you'll burn it. You don't want anything to turn black. It gets bitter. What you want to do is just glaze the wok with a little oil, take all the oil out. You heat up whatever pan you have at home and throw it in there. It has to be hot enough to sizzle. And then once it just starts to brown, like shallots in Western cooking, when it just starts to caramelize a little bit, that's when you're done, okay? Basically, that's when you add all the rest of the stuff in, okay? You can't really do that at the end. You have to, that's called polishing. It's one of the critical techniques in wok cooking. And when you have that first step and that flavor comes out, right, you smell it, the ginger, garlic, scallions, then you can fold other ingredients on top of that. So that's for general wok toss cooking. Obviously, ginger, garlic, scallions go into braises, into steamed dishes, into sauce, and so forth.
Thank you so much, Chef Chen. We learned so much from you. Again, it looks delicious. And thank you to Doug on your team. We have Southwest EPAS winners to announce very shortly. But first, be sure to check out the next two programs that Asia Society is hosting on Rice. It's a virtual cooking series. The next one in New York on May 18th and in the Philippines on May 27th. Here in San Francisco, join us in person next week on Thursday, May 19th, for our event on emerging tech with 4 consuls general. We'll be hosting a cultural reception afterwards with India, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Australia. And now we have 2 Southwest EPAS winners. These are round-trip EPASs to wherever Southwest flies. This includes Hawaii. And the winners, drum roll, are Hugh Lester and Danny Yu. Congratulations. We're going to reach out to all 4 winners tonight. And again, Chef Chen, thank you very, very much for your generosity and taking time with us, and for all of these amazing packages that you gave us, the wok and the condiment box and the dinner at China Live. Thank you to our Asia Society team, Angela Chung, Rahul Devaskar, Natalie Despigliere, Nina Udagawa, and Rexel Uwe, who put this series together. We are grateful to our interns and volunteers, and from all of us at the Northern California Center, thank you for joining us.